dive. You're likely here because you appreciate precision, efficiency too, especially with complex stuff.
That's right.
Today we're getting into something really interesting in modern dentistry, full arch restoration. Specifically, how this tool, OPTISPLINT, is, well, really making waves in accuracy and smoothing out the workflow.
Exactly. We're talking about creating a whole new set of teeth anchored by implants. It's a significant process.
For sure.
And ideally, for everyone involved, the dentist, the patient, you want it accurate, efficient, and smooth sailing. Minimize those hiccups.
Right. So our mission today, our deep dive, is to really figure out how this digital full arch workflow with OPTISPLINT boosts that accuracy and efficiency, how it helps create those implant-supported teeth really well.
We'll be using materials that lay out the whole digital process.
Perfect. Okay, let's jump in then. First things first. What exactly is OPTISPLINT? Why is it such a key piece here?
Okay, so basically, OPTISPLINT is a scannable verification jig.
A jig, like a template.
Yeah, think of it like a super precise template. It lets us confirm definitively the exact 3D position of the dental implants after they've been placed.
Oh, yeah.
And what's really interesting is it's a strong alternative to something like photogrammetry, which is another high accuracy method.
Right, I've heard of that.
But OPTISPLINT, well, it potentially offers that same kind of precision, but maybe with a lower initial investment for the practice.
So it's hitting that critical need for super high accuracy, which you absolutely need for a full arch case.
You really do.
But maybe making it more accessible for more dentists.
Yeah.
And I think you mentioned it sort of bridges the gap between traditional and fully digital methods.
Precisely. It lets dentists, really, regardless of where they are on that digital journey, tap into the benefits of a highly accurate digital workflow for these big cases. So even if you're still doing some things the old-fashioned analog way, OPTISPLINT can still be a game changer for the final results accuracy.
Okay, yeah. So we've got this OPTISPLINT device. How does it actually fit into the workflow, step by step, to really deliver on that promise of better accuracy and efficiency?
Right. So the workflow kicks in after, the planning's done, the implants are in place. The first really key step with OPTISPLINT is assembling it.
Assembling it where?
Directly in the patient's mouth, right onto the multi-unit abutments, the MUAs.
MUAs. Those are the connection points, right? Between implant and teeth.
Exactly. They're the interface. And the way OPTISPLINT is designed, it locks together in a way that captures the exact spatial relationship, the precise 3D position of all those MUAs relative to each other.
So you build it right there on the foundation in the mouth. That sounds inherently accurate, just capturing it directly like that.
It is.
And this means you don't need those older verification jigs, the ones that could sometimes be a bit fiddly.
Correct. You sidestep potential inaccuracies from those older, more manual verification methods. Now, here's where the efficiency and accuracy pathways get interesting, the scanning part. There are basically two main ways to scan it, and it depends on whether you're working on the temporary teeth right now or aiming for that final permanent restoration.
Ah, right. Different needs for different stages makes sense. So what's the streamlined way for the temporary? Speed is probably key there.
For the temps, yeah, efficiency is often paramount. You need function, aesthetics, kind of quickly after surgery sometimes.
Right.
So for that, you can scan the OPTISPLINT while it's sitting on a special scan plate. It usually comes with the kit.
Okay.
And you typically use your intraoral scanner, the iOS, that handheld scanner. This gives you a fast digital capture of the implant positions.
So scan it outside the mouth on a plate using the iOS you already have.
Got it.
Quick and convenient for the temporary phase.
Exactly. Facilitates quicker temp fabrication.
Now, for the final prosthesis, where you absolutely need the best possible fit, the highest accuracy for the long term, what's the recommended, the validated approach with OPTISPLINT then?
Right. For the final, where passive fit and long-term success are everything, the best practice, the validated route for maximum accuracy, is actually sending the assembled OPTISPLINT to your partner dental lab.
To the lab. Why is that?
Because specialized labs usually have higher-end scanners. We're talking high-precision tabletop or dedicated lab scanners. They can capture just incredible levels of detail.
More detail than an iOS in the mouth.
Potentially, yes.
Yeah.
Scanning it outside the dynamic, wet environment of the mouth in a controlled lab setting helps guarantee the highest possible accuracy for that final fit. Think micron-level detail capture.
Oh.
This really minimizes the chance you'll need significant adjustments when you go to deliver the final piece. That lab scan becomes the gold standard for the final.
That makes a lot of sense. Remove variables, use the best tool for the job, especially for the final. Okay, so we've captured this super accurate accurate data using OPTISPLINT either via iOS for temps or Lab Scanner for the final. What's next in this digital chain reaction for accuracy?
The next piece is all about digital integration, taking that precise OPTISPLINT scan data and merging it digitally with all the other important patient info. That means your intraoral scans the ones capturing the gums, the bite.
Soft tissues, occlusion.
Right. And also the CBCP scan data. The cone beam CT gives you that essential 3D view of the bone structure where the implants actually sit in the jaw.
So you're layering all this data together, building a really complete digital picture of the patient's situation.
Exactly. You bring the super accurate implant positions from OPTISPLINT, the gum details from the iOS, the bone context from the CBCT all together. It creates this incredibly comprehensive digital patient record.
Wow.
And that rich, accurately aligned data is the foundation. It's what allows the design of a final prosthesis that fits beautifully, passively, and looks right with the patient's anatomy.
And I saw a note about something called the OPTISPLINT MUA scan cap tissue scan.
Yeah.
Sounds technical. How does that fit into this accurate integration picture?
Yeah. That's basically the term for the specific process within the big CAD software like Exocad or 3Shape.
Okay.
It's the crucial software step where the system takes the highly accurate MUA position data from the OPTISPLINT scan and intelligently merges it with the tissue and bite data from your intraoral scans.
So it's the software magic that aligns everything.
Pretty much. It uses sophisticated algorithms, finds common reference points on the different scans, and snaps them together digitally with very high precision. This alignment is absolutely key.
Why is it so critical?
Because it ensures the prosthesis design doesn't just fit the implants perfectly, but also relates correctly to the gum contours and how the patient bites against their opposing teeth. It all has to work together.
Gotcha. So precise integration is done. Now we actually design and make the teeth, aiming for that perfect passive fit.
Exactly right. Using that fully loaded integrated digital record, the dental technician gets to work in the CAD, software, Exocad, 3Shape, platforms like that. They digitally sculpt the full arch prosthesis. And because the starting point, the implant positions verified by OPTISPLINT, is so accurate, the design itself can be incredibly precise. It considers the exact implant locations, the desired gum shape, the bite, everything meticulously.
And then turning that perfect digital design into a real thing, how does that happen accurately?
That digital file goes off for manufacturing. Usually high-precision milling or maybe advanced 3D printing, depending on the material and specifics.
Okay.
And here's the big payoff for accuracy and efficiency, because the design was based on that verified OPTISPLINT data.
The final piece should just fit.
The resulting physical prosthesis is highly likely to fit onto those implants passively. Minimal, ideally no adjustments needed at the chair.
Wow. Passive fit. That's the goal, isn't it?
It's absolutely crucial for the long-term health and stability of the implants and the restoration. Less stress on everything.
That must be a massive efficiency gain, too, cutting down chairside adjustment time. That's huge.
Huge. Saves time, reduces stress for the clinician and the patient, leads to a much better experience overall.
And then I assume there's still a try-in stage.
Yeah.
To double-check everything.
Oh, absolutely. You always have a critical try-in and validation step. Check the fit, the look, how the bite feels. Make sure everything meets the clinical standards and the patient is happy.
Makes sense.
Once that's all confirmed and approved, then the final prosthesis is made in the definitive material. Could be PMMA for a long-term temp or strong zirconia, other materials. Depends on the case.
Right.
But the whole digital path, driven by OPTISPLINT's validated accuracy, leads to a far more predictable, high-quality outcome. And that temp final, stackable guide final note we saw, that just points to how this accurate digital framework allows for efficient pathways, whether going straight from temp to final or using other guided approaches. It all fits together.
Okay, yes, that efficiency thread runs right through it. So let's zoom out for a second. If we summarize the big wins, the main benefits of this whole digital full arch workflow with OPTISPLINT, what are the headlines for accuracy and efficiency?
Well, number one, without a doubt, is validated accuracy.
The foundation.
Absolutely. Scanning OPTISPLINT outside the mouth, especially in the lab for the final, gives you the most precise record of implant positions possible. That accuracy is non-negotiable for achieving that passive fit.
And better accuracy naturally leads to better efficiency, I assume.
Yeah.
Faster process.
Precisely. That's the next big one. Efficiency and speed. Because you're streamlining with digital tools and critically minimizing or eliminating those time-sucking manual adjustments at delivery, the whole treatment timeline shrinks. Saves chair time, which is gold for the practice.
Lets them see more patients, maybe.
Could do. And it gets the patient to their final teeth faster. Plus, digital inherently cuts down on potential manual errors you might get with traditional impressions and models. Less chance of remakes.
Fewer do-overs, more efficient. You also mentioned flexibility earlier.
Yeah.
How does OPTISPLINT help there while keeping things accurate and efficient?
Yeah, the flexibility is key. Like we said, you can do quick temps using the iOS scan pathway for immediate needs. Efficient. Then you pivot to the lab scan for the ultimate accuracy on the final. But also think about practices that maybe don't have an iOS yet or aren't fully digital.
Can they still benefit?
Yes. They can still use OPTISPLINT. Maybe they take a traditional impression, but also send the OPTISPLINT scan data to the lab. The lab then combines that accurate position data with the analog info and uses their digital tools for design and fabrication.
Oh, interesting. So it allows different entry points into this high-accuracy digital world.
Exactly. It broadens access, makes the core accuracy benefit available even if the whole practice isn't digital yet.
That's a great point about accessibility. And the last benefit you touched on was better collaboration. How does OPTISPLINT in a digital flow help the team work together?
Well, because it's mostly digital files being moved around.
Easier to share.
Much easier. Sharing the OPTISPLINT scan, the design files, etc., between the dentist, the lab tech, maybe a milling center. It's seamless. Secure digital transfer.
Location doesn't matter as much.
Right. Everyone on the treatment team can collaborate effectively wherever they are, leads to smoother handoffs, potentially faster turnarounds, and ultimately everyone's working off the same highly accurate data, which supports that final precise outcome.
Okay, so summing up those advantages, it really feels like OPTISPLINT integrated into this digital workflow creates a system, a more reliable, demonstrably accurate, and definitely more efficient system for tackling these really complex full-arch implant restorations, all driving towards that passive fit.
That's it in a nutshell. It's about creating a validated process, one that you can trust to deliver exceptional accuracy consistently.
Better outcomes for patients.
Better outcomes for patients, absolutely. And a more predictable, less stressful, streamlined experience for the dentist and their lab partners. The time savings, the reduction in adjustments, it all adds up. A win-win.
So wrapping this deep dive up, the main takeaway is clear. OPTISPLINT really steps up the game for accuracy and efficiency in full-arch cases. It enables this validated, streamlined digital workflow that helps produce that passively fitting, all-on-X prosthesis dentists are aiming for. This means more predictable results for them, potentially making these big cases more rewarding.
Right.
And ultimately, it just elevates the standard of care for the patient. Better dentistry.
Couldn't say it better myself. It's using smart technology strategically to nail the precision needed for complex treatments, leads to better clinical success, and just a better patient journey all around.
Well, this has been incredibly insightful, digging into the digital full-arch workflow and OPTISPLINT's role in boosting accuracy and efficiency.
Yeah.
You know, think about this level of precision, this validated digital approach. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other really complex areas in dentistry might benefit from similar leaps in verification and seamless digital integration?
Interesting thought.
Or maybe, how does this kind of predictable accuracy impact patient confidence? Does it make them more willing to say yes to treatments like full-arch restoration? Lots to think about there.
Definitely food for thought.
If this has sparked your interest and you want to learn more about the digital full-arch workflow with OPTISPLINT, we definitely encourage you to look for more resources out there. Thanks so much for joining us on this edition of The Deep Dive.